Hello there, my beautiful and lovely gamers. My name is Jonal. Today, we are taking a look at the London Spitfire versus the Los Angeles Gladiators. I think that this is very interesting, the very first point especially, because we will see the Gladiators try to play a sort of poke-ish comp, a poke comp, versus a standard heavy dive, and seeing essentially how they played wrong, you can say, almost. I think it's very interesting. I think it's very knowledgeable. So I hope that you like this kind of video. If you did, then please tell me if you want me to see more, because it do take some time to try to create. I need to watch the VOD and then analyze it. I need to draw in a software and so on. So it takes some time to try to create these. Now, as you all know, I have my summer breaks now. So if you're interested in improving the game, getting better, I do a €10 discount on my private coaching, meaning you get one session, which normally is 2 hours, for only the price of €40. Now, if you're interested in that and you want to get improved, no matter if you are a bronze player or a top 500, play for a team, solo queue, PS4, PC, whatever, you can hit me up on either Twitter or Discord, both of them. I'll link in the description. I will send you a form to fill out, and we can get started. Now, first of all, let's just try to take a look at how the team compositions. Now, the London is just going to play a very standard dive comp. We all know about this. If you want to, I can make a video on that specific dive comp, but I'm not going to break it down too much, because what's fascinating to watch is the Gladiator team comp. They're going to run what essentially looks like a form of poke comp, right? They have the Widowmaker to deal damage. They have the Zenyatta to mark and also, again, deal range damage. They have Junkrat to spam, and in general, again, to deal a lot of damage, to preemptively, range spam, a lot of that. And most importantly, which mostly defines a lot of team competition, the main tank is Narissa. And Narissa is built for, again, guess what? Ranged poke damage, right? She has her gun, she can deal a lot of damage, she can wear down shields, she can wear down tanks, she can generally do a lot. She is fortified, that can work very nicely against, to at least keep her somewhat alive during an initial dive, especially against, Winston and so on, who doesn't already do too much damage to her. And they also, in case something happens, have a D.Va in their main group, which both allows them some form of flexibility for high ground control and so on, but also mostly is good against dive, right? It works good against the Winston. It can deny a lot of, in general, damage from traces and so on, at least for a short period of time, and it's very good to deal with the income of the dive when it finally passes the defensive line. Because how this team comp is built around, and you can play it multiple ways, but as I see it, is that they are really focusing on trying to make these guys deal damage to their front line, essentially weakening the team. They're probably expecting London to play dive. I would expect that they have figured that is most likely going to happen. And what they want to then is to make sure that the Winston and maybe the D.Va is not allowed to do anything, right? If the Widow can get picks like kill or kill the enemy team's DPS or support or whatever, that would be great. But especially making sure that the Winston cannot die because he's too low, or when he dives, his HP starts shrinking, right? They start removing his HP when he dives, and before he lands, that weakens him. Making sure that the dive doesn't have the initialization that they need to actually go onto them, which will deny a lot of space for people like that Tracer and a Genji, that they don't have anyone they can actually go in with. And I think that's very much on how they should play it, or how they're supposed to play it. Of course, that is not what happens. So just to give you guys a little bit of a overview how it's going to look, this is the startup position. They're going to have their Zenyatta very far back. I'm going to have the Widow here, I believe, on this side. Most likely Lacing trying to deal some poke, and then the rest of them is going to stay up here. And then the job of these guys are really just we want poke. We want to deal damage. If we can build our ultimates and we can weaken the enemy team when they go in, that's great for us, right? Valkyrie is not too big of a loss that they get Valkyrie compared to us getting Riptire, right? So that's the first thing that's going to happen. And what we're going to then see is that the enemy team, or the offensive team, is going to rotate. So they're going to let Prophet fly in and flank. They're going to put the majority of their team here. Their Zenyatta's going to stay far back on the Mega Room, ready to poke, ready to spam. If anything goes south, then they have the Winston and so on, which is then they're again going to push up while the Gladiators are going to back off. it was very difficult because I don't have access to anything else than like standard VODs as everyone else. I don't have access to any of that. So because of that, it's a little bit complicated to try to get proper point of views. I don't really know what happens to Turf 4, where the Widow goes after a certain amount of time. I just can't see him when the dive starts, at least in the first push. So essentially what's going to happen, the LA is going to back off. They're going to take this side here as their defensive side. And, well, give London a good time to take the space here, claim the room. Again, just going to set up a flank, and then they're going to set up a dive, which is going to fail. And we're going to take a little bit of a look at why it fails and so on, what that could have happened and done better and so on. So let's really just take a look at that. I'm going to keep it in windowed so I can use my drawing tool. Now that I'm at home with my family, I don't have 2 monitors, so I need to, use one hand. Well, use one monitor, which is a struggle, my friends. Trust me. Okay, so they're going to start here, go up. Standard stuff, stand-up poke. They're going to flank over here, they're going to group, and they're going to send the Zenyatta and the Tracer through Vikings, which is under here, which there's a pack here. They can use for health, whatever, but it's really just to set up. The Zenyatta is not getting caught in main from all spam and getting sniped and so on. He gets a good angle as well to get off some good poke, getting some good kills. And there's Tracer with him because Tracer needs to set up his flank. That's all they're doing. They're just waiting for that to happen. The call is given that they're ready, and they start moving in. Now, what happens here is most likely that the Winston tried to dive up, trying to essentially just leap up, deal some damage. It does not look like they want to leap up, like they want to just immediately dive here and try to do a lot, because 1, the Genji is staying far back here, and 2, Fury didn't boost, right? So it looks like that he tried to just leap up, maybe deal some poke damage, just being irritating in general, trading a little bit, and in general just taking the aggro, taking the attention as he's supposed to, while Void then of course then swept in and pushed him away with his booster, not allowing him to do that. It's a fine move. That's what normally happens. I just want to highlight that a little bit. Now they're gonna just stack here. They're gonna take some poke from the Junkrat. And this is working right now decently, at least, right? Here we're gonna see a proper way of how poke should work, right? This is why it's so dangerous, right? Like he tries to leap in, the Widowmaker immediately deletes a lot of his HP, and this is what we should see a lot of, right? The Gesture, their Winston should not be allowed to move around freely on the map. He should be getting hit and spammed and spammed and spammed. Their Junkrat should be getting Riptire, dealing a lot of damage, choking out certain areas. That should be happening a lot to not allow their tanks to push freely in. Now we're gonna see this dive. This dive is gonna be executed really bad. What I want you to take a look at is these two. I want you guys to look at Bird Ring and Gesture's HP bars. Okay, because as I said, what we a lot of time want to see is that Gesture should not be allowed to move with a lot of HP. So when he engages, he's already weak, he's easy to kill. All of a sudden, they don't have a Winston that can deal a lot of Tesla damage. They don't have a main tank that can draw a lot of aggro, right? Doing that, it becomes easier for the LA Gladiator to take control over what is going on in this team fight, focusing down Bird Ring, focusing down Prophet, or at least chasing him away. The same maybe with Fury, not allowing Fury to go in with full HP or at least staying there for longer periods of time. But the Winston is the most important since he is the easiest one to do it to, and since he is their initializer, he initializes the dive attack. There will be a coordination here, and as I showed here a little bit on my drawing, what will happen is that the Genji is gonna flank over here and start engaging the Zenyatta, right? The whole idea is to look who they can dive. They see the settings out of position. So what they want to is they want to coordinate, right? A very nice dive onto this so they can delete the Zenyatta and then cause havoc in the main group. And now there will be 3 players planted in their main group, which would be really huge for them. So that they, all of a sudden, they're kind of surrounded. They lost their Zenyatta. The Tracer can cause havoc. The Genji can cause havoc. The Winston is in here doing a lot of stuff. And the D.Va's up here doing a lot of stuff. And by then, the team fight would a lot of time be won because they have gained so much control. The enemy team is surrounded. The Orisa doesn't work nice in CQB. The Junkrat is easy to kill. While the D.Va works nice in CQB, there's too many, right? They lost damage from the Zenyatta. That would be the perfect way of doing that. And as I said, what the Gladiators need to do is to poke, making sure that this guy's not allowed to stay alive. So when he initializes the dive, he can get the leader really quickly removed. Now, none of this is going to happen because what I do believe happens is that the Genji peaks too early and plays too aggro, too much front, and essentially forces the London to dive earlier. And what they have on top of that, Prophet is going to play really bad here, very inconsistent of him. But that's an inconsistency, like that happens from time to time. Next dive, should that not happen to, and that doesn't happen. And as I said, just pay a little bit of attention to these HP bars right here, right? As you can see, who lost the HP? The dive has already, you can already see that Jester's in. The Winston is in. He lost practically no HP from doing that initial dive. Meanwhile, you see Birdring losing a lot of HP, right? And you can see that Birdring is going to get picked off very early. Now they have started removing the HP bar of Jester, and now it will start happening that Jester is going to take a lot of damage. He's going to die, and they're going to lose this fight, right? So you saw who essentially what happens is that Birdring gets shot by Shaz. Shaz sees Birdring, says like, I'm Senjata, I can DPS, starts DPSing, and essentially weakens Birdring so much that he's in free kill. He gets wiped early, then they kill Jester, but there's no pressure on Jester. Now, I don't know where Surfer is, because again, I don't have the point of view, and I have been trying so bad to like scroll through and try to see, look at walls, try to see like, do I see a Widow shot, do I hear a Widow, and there's nothing. So I don't know where he is, but I don't understand why there's no pressure on Jester. The same for Hydration. What was Hydration during this team fight, right? He didn't get that much ult charge. He just went from 50% to 79%. So what was he doing during this team fight? And there's no pressure now. Now they're setting up the dive, but there's no pressure on anyone, right? The shield goes down, right? The shield is about to go down, but there's no pressure on anyone. No one is taking damage, and you have a team composition that is really bad if the enemy team gets to dive them. If you get close to this combination, especially with dive, the LA Gladiators should collapse. As long as they can get the first pick or the first two picks, they should collapse very easily. But nothing happens. Like, no one from the London is taking damage, meaning that there's no in general pressure or poke coming out. And you can also see that from the ult charge that's getting gained here, right? Hydration was at 63% when the dive started. Okay, he's at 63%. He goes to 70 really early, which is most likely some of the damage that happens to Birdring or some of the damage that happens to Fury. Most likely Fury, I would believe, right? He dies here, and he gets to 77%, and now the fight is lost, 78%, that's most likely passive, and now the dive is over. So he didn't really get anything out of that, which leads me to expect that there's not much coming out of Hydration when it comes from the damage-wise, right? And you will see this consistently happening. And this will be, you know, the reason that this dive fell together is, one, I believe Birdring gets early, and Prophet missed 2 mags, which shouldn't happen. So right now you should know, as the coach of, or the shot caller of London, should know that, okay, we're not really taking any damage, meaning that they are not poking us, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Okay, we just do the same thing. We just dive the same thing. They are very passive, they're giving us a lot of space, so we're doing it. Want to highlight this for everyone that played Tracer. I know there's more of you guys now on the channel, so this is actually really good. When the team fight was lost, right, when they lost this team fight, what happened was not, if you can see, like, Shaz is really low, Hydration gets really low, right? Both of those are really low, but he doesn't go for them. He just backs off immediately, because now he gets a free setup. No one is watching him. No one can see that he's going here, so he gets a free setup. They lost the fight, but he didn't give his space. Doing that, one, they don't have to waste time waiting for him to set up. 2, he doesn't have to set up, meaning that the enemy team will not know there's a Tracer on our right side. There's a Tracer over here. I heard him blink. I saw him blink, right? He also doesn't have to burn any of his abilities, so he can really be quick to go, ready to go whenever he really wants to, which is nice. On top of that, he gets opportunities. So if, let's say for some reason that Surfer decided that he should position himself here, right? Something like that, or the Senjata decided to go here, or whatever, that could give him an opportunity to get a frag if possible, if that was an option, right? So yeah, let's now see what's going on here. General poke, and now you will see. I don't know if this is one of the reasons that they're not taking any poke, because we're gonna see some Surfer point of view here. I don't know as that if that is the reason that they're not gonna take really any poke. But you're gonna see that Surfer start missing a lot of shots all of a sudden. It might be the reason that there's no pressure on the main tank. Maybe Surfer just doesn't have the aim right now. Like maybe he's just choking. It happens. Again, inconsistencies. Because Surfer is normally a really good winner, so it's a little bit weird that he's missing these so-called easy shots, which can be a big deterrent to why. It's that, or mentality issues for the team, like how what they believe they're supposed to do, or positioning. It's most likely a combination of all three, right? Because he's gonna hit that, that's only about shot. He's gonna miss the next one. He's gonna miss that one. He's gonna miss that one, which he's gonna hit a little bit. Miss that one, hit that one, right? But it's mostly body shots, and he didn't really get anything out of that when it comes to poke. And now you see it executed perfectly because they take right side, and because the LA Gladiators decided to, you know, group up in this small area, they have given a lot of space, right? Essentially, they only own, again, because now Sure4 is over here, right? Let's just move everyone away. This is ruining my plays. I had like built scenarios in, right? But let's just move all of these players over here. I do not know where any. This is like purely improvised. Let's just move these over here. Whatever, right? Right? The enemy team, which is backed off, really only have control over barely here, like here, and that's really it. Like in theory, they have some control up here with the D.Va, but not really. They logically enough, they should have control over here, but it's very fragile control again because they have to. At this point, it's not becoming again. It's in a turn and it's far away from each other. So they kind of have to control this point, the tanks, leaving them with all of this space is just free for the dive team to utilize. Right? They can take as much of this as they want. They can go whatever they want, but again, without receiving really any poke damage, really any damage at all, which can punish them. Right, which can at least make it costly for them to take the ground. Right, and that's what you're gonna see here. That the dive is now gonna execute as opposed to again. Look at the HP of Jester. When is he gonna take damage? Just watch it. He's not taking damage. Now he's diving the enemy team. Now he's inside the enemy team group, and he still hasn't taken any damage. Right? Right? And now he's not taking. That's burst of damage. That's most likely the enemy team finally responding. But he got to get in there with full HP, which is really bad. Right? And there's little to no space for hydration. They're gonna lose Chaz because of this again, because Jester's allowed to stay in there, and they can't even kill Jester because again they didn't poke him. He wasn't weakened. This team is not very good at fighting in close quarters, so as soon as they lose Zenyatta, they lose most of their damage output close up, right? And now it's just a steamroll wheel. Now it's just easy pickings for Dive because this is when Dive thrives. They go in, they deal damage, they poke. No one weakened them. This team, the Gladiators has no mobility. They leap back out. They start capping the point. The Gladiators, which doesn't have any poke, can't poke, has no line of sight, is getting pressured, is weakened already, their tanks are low, and so on. Has to engage the point to cap it, but they kind of can't because, again, they are not suited for that, and the dive can then re-engage. Right? They can disengage and re-engage, disengage and re-engage, as they are supposed to do, as where dive is the best. Right? That's where they work as good as they can. And essentially now they're just going to start popping off a lot, right? I'm going to get one, I'm going to get two. And yeah, and now it's in general a one fight. And I think that is very interesting to watch. And I believe that it might be a little bit of mechanical. If Surfer doesn't hit his shots, he doesn't hit his shots. That's just how it goes. I also believe that they are way too passive. And I think that's something to do with the mentality of how the LA Gladiators set up. They very quickly gave a lot of ground, not just some ground. Like, it's fine to back off to not lose point control, because that's very important not to lose with this team comp, but they gave a lot of ground. Like, they gave majority of it. The only one that was really out of this main group was Sherfro going around trying to snipe people, and he can't take a lot of ground if he doesn't have help. And even him alone, it can be very difficult for him to shut down. He can shut down the Winston if he's lucky, but it's like one angle that Jester needs to worry about compared to worrying about multiple of them, right? And again, Sherfro needs to always watch out that Birdwing is not going for him, that Prophet is not going for him, and that he is not out of position. Because if he is out of position, he can normally either get just chased away by one of their players, or he can get nuked and just killed immediately. So, I don't know if you guys like this video, because if you did, then please press like, and please tell me if you want to see more of these videos breaking down, analyzing certain Overwatch League matches. I'm normally not analyzing the entire match or anything. I'm really normally talking about one aspect of the match that I found interesting, that I found could maybe or hopefully help you guys improve and get to know the game a little bit better. So I hope that you like the video. I love you very much. I hope you guys have a lovely gaming experience. As always, guys, my name has been Jonal. You guys stay positive, and as always, keep the enemy in your crosshair.